Hear me? Good evening, everyone. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business, and it's not to be considered a public community meeting. The agenda reserves 2 periods for public participation, and those wishing to receive a personal response from the board or superintendent must complete a public comment form available at the meeting entrance and on our website. Upon request of the superintendent, the district shall make reasonable accommodation for a person with disabilities to be able to participate in this meeting. Welcome back to our 3rd meeting this month. Hope, can you call the roll?
Mr. Osprey.
Here.
Mr. Arnold.
Present.
Ruby.
Here.
DePaul.
Here.
Kangas. Here. Ryan.
Here.
Here. Benito. DeBranch.
Here.
We have meeting minutes from our November 10th meeting in our packet.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve the attached minutes of November 10th, 2025 meeting as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to the agenda, the board policy provides that the superintendent of schools shall prepare an agenda for all board meetings as directed by the president of the Board of Education.
Move that the Board of Education approve the agenda as presented.
A second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. First up, we have a school presentation of our audit. We have Lindsay of Raymond Robson will share the results of the 24-25 audit.
Good evening, board.
You hold it down. A red line. Okay.
Good evening, board. Glad to be here tonight, about a month later than normal. It's been an interesting audit year. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Want to give thanks though to Christy and the entire finance department staff for getting ready for this audit and getting it to its completion. It's a huge undertaking, and this is kind of the one point of the year we get a chance to report out on. You get financial information from her every month. And I'm here to let you know that the information you're receiving is accurate. So let's move on. You did receive an unmodified or clean audit opinion, which is the highest form of assurance we can give you on your financial statements. We did not identify any findings or control matters. The audit is not yet complete. The federal audit piece has still not been issued and won't be issued until we actually get a finalized compliance supplement from the Office of Management Budget. They provided a draft in May, and we're still waiting. And of course, they went on shutdown, so nothing's happened over the last 5 to 6 weeks. So as soon as that comes out, we'll get that issued. We don't anticipate there being any changes, but we don't know until we see it. That's why all school districts are getting a financial audit right now. They're not getting their federal audits presented. So as soon as that comes out, within 30 days, that'll be issued. I'll let you know though, we have audited the federal funds we needed to, which were the special education cluster and the local fiscal recovery funds, and we didn't find any issues with those audits. So $3.5 million of the $4.8 million total federal funding for the district. And the big chunk in there, the local fiscal recovery funds, are funds received for purchase of the Dexter homes. So that will go away for next year. So federal funding will start to shrink back down to normal levels as we move forward. One area that changed in this year's audit was a new government auditing standard or government accounting standard implemented related to compensated absences. So what is a compensated absence? In all of our agreements with our unions and even with individual employees who have separate individual agreements, there are provisions for payments for things such as sick days, vacation days, comp time, things like that. So this new GASB changed the way those are valued and evaluated. So this year you'll see, actually, when if you look at the auditor's report itself, there's this explanatory paragraph in there that says, hey, there was a new accounting standard implemented this year. For Dexter schools, there was a restatement of your government-wide net position of about $3.6 million. So reducing your net position by that amount, in essence, showing more debt related to these comp ads under this new valuation method. What does that mean to the district? Really not much of anything when it comes to how we operate, because we don't, those compensated absences are for a payment to people as they retire and earn those benefits. So it's just a new valuation method. I told finance committee before this meeting that I think we've hit all of the areas now where additional debt can be recorded on a government's financial statements. It started with pensions, then retiree healthcare, then leases, then software-based information technology arrangements, and now comp apps. So I think we've hit them all, or they've hit them all. So not sure exactly what that does for the reader. I think for bond agencies, it provides a little more information for the general reader. I don't know. The effect of all of those accounting pronouncements, if you look at the government-wide financial statement, overall district's balance sheet on the full accrual accounting method, so all debt being recorded, all fixed assets and depreciation being recorded. You'll see, if you look at that very first financial statement, you'll see a $7.6 billion surplus in net position. I've been talking to you for the last 12 years or so about having a negative number on that front page because of the pension. We've actually swung to the positive in the current year, and that's because the overall unfunded pension liability of the state went down significantly in the last fiscal year because of market activity. So those of you who have 401ks, hopefully you've been seeing those rise nicely over the last bit of time. So the state's pension plan is valued at the end of September. So September 24 would be represented in this report. So overall, that pension liability went down about $20 million. So good for the district. Overall, still on the district-wide data, a $21.6 million increase in that position. Once again, this is those full accrual statements. Comparatively speaking, revenue about the same year over year, and expenses down a little bit because of that change in pension valuation. All right, fund level stuff. So you'll see on this presentation a lot of funds across the top of this presentation. Those that are identified separately are major funds, meaning they're big. They have magnitude of 10% or more of assets, liabilities, revenues, or expenses. So general fund, the community services fund, which is athletics and such, the debt retirement fund, the 2017 capital projects fund, and the non-bonded capital projects fund. That's the funds we received when we sold Copeland. Were major funds this last year. In that non-major governmental fund category are service, cooperative activities, and student activities. Those are in that far count. Maybe just looking at a couple of the columns here. General fund at the end of the year, as far as assets, $20.6 million. Most of that was either money in the bank or invested or owed to us for July and August state aid payments, and any reimbursements on federal grants that were out there that had not been reimbursed at the end of June. Liabilities of about $7.8 million. Most of that has to do with accrued expenses related to contracts for teachers. So teachers earn their wage through June 30th, but they still receive some payments over the summer related back to that. So those are all accrued along with their fringe benefit packages and also some unearned revenue. So monies we received not yet have matching expenses that will go into revenue over periods of time. End of year total fund balance $12.8 million. Have all the various components underneath there. The unassigned piece, which is the real small number, that is the piece that is available for the board to appropriate. To move items out of committed or assigned requires the board to take action. So over the years, the board has set aside funds for technology, this whole compensated absences idea, and various other initiatives that you have as a board. So then also maybe just one other column here, that 2017 capital projects fund. Now you just just sold bonds again in this most recent of months. So we're going to see another fund to pop up here next year for the 2025 capital projects fund. So that 2017 capital projects fund is getting spent down. There was still $7.5 million available for expenditures. Revenues and expenses for those same funds. General fund, just over $56 million. Income, outgoing in the form of expenditures of about $55.6 million. So basically a break even on the general fund, about $372,000. This was kind of probably a little bit of a challenging year. It'll get even more challenging as we go forward with how funding is kind of just morphing all over the place. Yet costs continue to increase. So hitting a near a zero, I think is a good thing. We'll see in that capital projects fund column again, overall $5.2 million of net spend down of that fund. So you still have, at that pace, you still have another year and a little more than that to go unless there's other projects identified. But $5.2 million spent. Budget results, general fund. Board, in June, before your fiscal year begins, you adopt a budget. So back in June of 2024, you would have adopted the initial budget for the general fund and all the other special revenue funds. You amend a couple of times during the year, especially in the fall after you've received and know what your student cards are. We have our first inkling of what state aid actually looks like. So you'll be going through that process, I'm sure, in the next month or so again. And that's kind of really the budget you guys really live with throughout the year, is that one that happens late in the fall. So this is comparing that final budget, which you would have done June of 25, to actual results. So revenues, we had anticipated about $54.7 million coming in. Actual amount of revenue was about just over $56 million, or a variance, positive variance on that budget of about $1.3 million. We budgeted $57.5 million for expenditures. Actual was about 55.6. So once again, a variance to the positive side, to our underspending of the expenditure budget by about $1.8 million. So you would, in that final budget, you had shown about a $2.7 million use of fund equity. Actually had a slight increase to equity. So a variance of about $3.1 million to the good. So a positive variance, which is the kind of variance, the bottom lines you want to see us for. Couple items on debt. So this was as of June 30th. You added to this when you did the bond sale just a few weeks ago. So total outstanding bond principal. So these are bond issuances over the years. So at the end of June, you had $77.3 million of bond principal out there. And you retired about $12.3 million in fiscal year 25. And if you remember, when you go through these bond issuances, your financial advisor, you'll see years where we have huge amounts of debt being paid and others where a new issuance comes out when we only pay interest for a few years. That's to be able to keep that millage rate at that same level, yet effectuate the decreases you need over time. So they build that all into the formulas. And I think Christy knows a lot more about that now than she did just a few weeks ago. Capital assets net of depreciation, just shy of $132 million. You'll be adding to that as you go through this next bond project. It includes $9.4 million of additions in fiscal year 25. So additions in the general fund, in the capital projects fund, in the community activities fund for the wellness center. Those are all additions. And then also, you may remember from me being here in years past, those bonded capital project funds, so 2017 capital projects fund, Treasury requires us to take a deep dive into the expenditures in those funds to make sure that you follow state law and the ballot language that was approved by your voters. So the only place you see in the audit report that this was done, there is a footnote that talks about their compliance, and it does say that the district complied fully with both the Treasury regulations through a ballot language. That's kind of it. Things were good shape as always. The district is financially sound. I think it will continue to be challenging as we kind of work through everything that's happening both in Washington and what recently happened in the state of Michigan. I think we're still trying to figure out totally what's happened with the budget in the state of Michigan. And I think you'll get more information. I'm sure MASB will be providing information to you. I know Christine and Chris will too as they work through this, but it will be challenging. Because I think things are getting back to normal. Well, some kind of a normalcy as far as the streams. It's just how the streams are coming to us. Last year, there was a big switcheroo on June 30th. They didn't really give us a foundation allowance. They increased. They said, oh, we're going to give you a reduction over here in expenses. Well, that reduction in expenses wasn't fully what they said it was going to be. And actually, now that expense has come back to the district in fiscal year 26. So, but they give us a very large foundation allowance. So lots of strings attached with everything, but as always happens, everybody adapts. We work. I would take questions.
Maybe just one question on the variance, on the general fund, that 3.1, is that, I mean, in most cases, more is better with that, obviously, but is that too much, in your opinion?
We're talking about close to a $60 million budget.
Yeah.
So it's really, as far as statistically, it's a relatively small. I'm sure she would like to have it narrower than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, anytime you're at 3% or less on the variance,
Yeah.
Smaller,
Yeah. 1 point.
so that's the overall. Yeah.
You kind of obligated.
Pretty close.
You kind of obligated.
One of the nuances is in the last 2 years, the budgets, when they started messing with the rates, they started giving us different pass-throughs, swage your revenue and your expense. It should be even. And they did other calculations that, like we had the 1 year, they gave us more money in August, and
Oh, yes.
it was when they recalculated, so they do a number or percentage that they think our responsible percentage for the whole statewide pension fund. Based on prior year, and then they square it up and
Sure.
And it was like 1.2 million or something. And then last year it was way small, or this year, way small. So, and we don't even know what number to use. They just give us like, plan on this, and we use the number, but then they square it up after the year. So there are big swings in those areas. Historically, our positive variances for a long time was about within a time. And post-COVID, been more because of all the money flying around in different ways. It does feel like we're settling in. I don't like how we're settling in, but it feels like we're settling in. This year they finally gave us, or they took a year off and gave us a foundation increase, but they hacked us on the other end, which feels like old times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
it feels like the
Shell
2010.
game, right? They just
2010, they're like, here's $200, but we took 300 away.
Yeah.
So, but nobody will know that 300 gets as well as the 70. Just like old times. Give no clue.
yes. Yeah, I've been through the worst. I remember when retirement was 5%. Now it's 4%.
Okay.
It shows the original budget versus the final actual.
Okay.
So, yeah, what do you?
I just had one question. A lot of times we have the community watching this later, and I feel like the one point that kind of stuck out for me was just a piece about the federal audit. And could you just say a little bit more to explain to just the average viewer what that means and what you're waiting on? Just a little bit more framework for understanding.
Yep, so auditing federal grants are covered under a federal circular 2 CFR 200. And the guidance that is used by auditors, that's propagated by the Office of Management Budget, tells you of the major programs that are flowing through from the federal government, They have selected those that they believe are the most impactful or highest risk. And they say, with all of these programs, of which you may have a few of them, it says, do these 15 things. Those 15 things are unknown to us right now because we don't have the document that says, these are the final 15 things we said to make sure you did. So they put draft, usually when they do this, they put it out, they call it for exposure. So they put out a draft back late in the spring, and they never got back to it for a finalization. In the meantime, as things were happening in Washington, a lot of federal agencies were shutting people. I don't know if that happened in the Office of Management Budget or not, but my guess is it probably did. So the problem that CPA firms have is that when we do the federal audit, in the letters, the thing we opine to is that document. Because that document really technically doesn't exist, we're not able to issue. The issue that really came up, I'm on the audit, or I'm on the committee at the state of Michigan that writes the school audit manual each year. The problem we ran into, and that I'm not sure the Department of Education was really aware of, is that the Department of Education requires districts by November 1st to submit their audits. When they say submit their audits, the Department of Education interprets that as your entire audit, financial and federal, should come as one piece. We want it all. And they claim, and I read the law, they claim that it's actually in the state aid act. That's not what it says. It says the financial reporting package. It doesn't. Anyway, so started working with the state probably early August, saying you are aware that if this doesn't come up by November 1st, you'll have probably 75% of the districts in the state of Michigan require a single audit. They won't be able to provide the reporting package. Are you willing to not send state aid to 75% of the districts on October 20th? And once it got up to the state superintendent's level, it said, I don't want to have that piece of political argument following around, even though I'm retiring. So actually at the nth hour, the Senate did write in 2 sentences into the state that says, okay, we'll take the financial package, and within 30 days of the issuance of the compliance supplement, we want the rest of it. So yeah, so the audit is really done. I don't really anticipate anything happening differently, but now when it does come out, we have to do some things. We have to make sure there are many subsequent events that affect the federal funds. We're going to approve board minutes. We're going to have to possibly confer with attorneys if any. So it's done, but there will be a few things we'll have to do to get done. So nothing that the school did to not make that happen. Nothing that audit firms have done to not make that happen. It's just the current dysfunction, let us say, in the state, in the nation's capital, which is causing us not to be able to issue that. So schools were the first ones up on that. So most Minnesota cities as well. So cities are juniors as well. So they have until the end of December to issue their reports. Schools much shorter time frame than municipalities must have 6 months. You guys only have 4. So does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you for clarifying. Appreciate that. Any other
Thanks, Morgan.
questions? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to our first opportunity for public participation. Is there anyone who would like to address the board tonight? Seeing no one ready, we can go on to our consent items. We have a budget report in our packet tonight.
I'll move that the Board of Education receive the October 2025 budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the receiving the October 2025 budget report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on to our action items. We just had the opportunity to view the financial audit findings and had the opportunity to ask questions. And now we need to accept the report.
I move that the Board of Education accept the 2024-25 package plan.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Let's hope Christie was still in here, and Kim, I want to thank you for the great work.
Yes.
It's putting a clean audit together and all the documents, making sure that throughout the year, your processes are so sound, at every document, everything we've done. It's been the role of running for 60 to 70 million with the project or with salaries and benefits and expenses, and it's some of them as low as $4 to 900 millions. So it's Christie and her team do a tremendous job.
Absolutely.
When I reference page 28, it's in the audit, so if anybody would like a copy of the audit, we have them available for you. And I know that they'll be up on the website as well, so. Go to that, much of that. It's 188 pages.
Good nighttime, read.
Great, well, thank you, and thank you to the finance committee for going through it in detailed fashion. Any other questions? Let's do a roll call vote, please. Mr. Alberry.
Aye.
Mr. Goodwin,
Aye.
Mr. Cole,
Aye.
and yes, aye. Right there.
Aye.
All right.
Christie, we just thanked you and your team. Great job. You missed it. Sorry.
Sorry.
Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to discussion. Tonight, last week, we decided to postpone a discussion of the process for the sex ed curriculum update until tonight. At our meeting last week, we approved portions of the proposed sex ed updated curriculum and identified modifications that we would like to see on selected lessons. Some modifications are minor, like resource deletions, moving of the placement of a lesson within a series, or making language consistent. Those don't need to be reviewed again, and other requested modifications are more involved and will require the sex ed advisory board to look over it and work on it, and those will come back to the board for review. So we want to just kind of think about the process and whether we have any specific directions for proceeding. We started the conversation last week, but I think everyone agreed we needed to ponder it. And I think Chris was gonna think about what we might be able to do or not do, so let's just kind of throw it out there.
Well, and I don't know, I had mentioned, is there a way for us to have this in great holes that we're not digesting all at once? And maybe that's not ideal, but I thrown that out there, so that a thought, I'm not sure that's something we thought about.
I knew it is. All right.
No worries.
No, I'm just wondering out loud of whether or not,
What you're saying, can you bring it back in
in
pieces?
pieces, or if that's not the best way to do it.
What are you saying?
No, I don't think so. My recommendation would be that we just, if this is feasible, we move to approve the summary of the lessons that we already approved.
Those are.
Those are
done. I'm just saying, ask this modification, is it possible that you can get hammered through fifth grade? And again, maybe that's too many meetings, maybe that's too much backup, it just, the last one, that was a lot. It was a lot.
If they just sent.
So,
Doesn't seem like a lot, but this puts on, it really is. I mean, it seemed like these are just things,
A lot of changes.
remember, we went through.
Yeah, these are things we did, so.
Right, and there's
That was 3 hours.
and that's just internally, the seat can happen.
Yeah, I mean, my preference would be that we do it all at the time, so we call it context, that's what I think we should get 2 buckets, one that has been approved and one that are the modifications, so we have it all in place, but stuff is, so we're not spending time looking at the already approved.
I agree with the right thing.
do you want it, do you want the old stuff at all, or do you just want to have new lessons?
Well, I
Maybe
think
the approved stuff.
Like, do I want a red line off of what was changed? Not
So
necessarily.
the stuff, so just to be clear, when we approved, everything that we approved is not going back, like, that's
No.
not going back to be reviewed by.
That's not going back to you by us when we come to changes that I would like to have.
Got it, okay,
What was approved in a separate PDF
okay.
or whatever.
We can have that.
But look at that as a separate PDF, I mean, you wanna see it all in one
Let's go.
document,
I wanna
so you can
see
see how the.
Just mark it as approved already. As long.
I wanna see the changes, and
Somehow,
then I
right.
wanna see the full curriculum, so they can put the system.
So one question that we had last week was, can the board see what the committee did before it goes to public review? Just to see if the changes that were made reflect what the board thought they were asking for. The question was, could we
We could build
preview
in,
it?
but what we could do is build in a process. Committee has a draft doc that they have considered, and then probably review it, cross-reference it, what they approve, send it back to council before. So that they would have to review them and recommend, so they wouldn't get to a recommendation, they would have a draft, you could review a draft. And then once that draft became their recommendation, then it
Who is? That's what
the
we're trying
full
to
board,
figure out.
or you could assign a ad hoc committee to review it.
But this is, to my mind, this is just like quality control. It's a real quick thing. This is not substance.
It's a perfect use of an ad hoc committee.
Yeah,
You would
just
say
a couple
three
of
board
us
members
that
to review it.
we want. It's just quality control. It's not.
Right, yeah, my main concern was I didn't want it to go back through a publib review
If
if
there's an
it wasn't
obvious
what
something-
the board had.
Yeah, if there's an
intended.
obvious gap. So I don't know who the best.
Wait,
I think that makes a lot of sense.
That would be the easiest.
Yeah.
You have CF create a draft. Yeah, that would use the draft with a clear charge. Review
Make
it in
sure it
line of what
reflects.
what you approved, it's quality control. And then if it is, then it goes back to CF to hash out before for a recommendation, then it goes to doing, then it goes through hearings, et cetera, et cetera. But you don't have to do all of it. Fourth grade's good.
Right,
Fifth grade, you have a couple things where it's just a change of a word on the slide.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Necessarily, it's just changing, forget about that. Fix this word. But there were a bunch of unit things that needed to be. Good substance. And some resources that replace the ones where you just said, good, but not this resource. They go with what they had without that resource.
right. I guess I was just trying to avoid, a miscommunication. Okay,
I was wondering if there's a way to have presentation or some sort of dialogue.
You could, you
Maybe
could,
that,
you could put your ad hoc committee with CF. And have, they could meet at the same time. It would be technically your ad hoc committee. Would only have 3 board members, CF would have none, you could meet together. But all 7, you'd have to do a total meeting.
The
And then
reason
you'd
I,
have to go through the whole
yeah, the
process.
reason I bring that up is, I mean, they spent 2 years developing, this, did a lot of work on all of the formation of this and understand how it all fits. And we made, in my opinion, a lot of modifications that I'm not sure that I fully understand the implications of all of the changes to the program that last time.
sure.
And so I think that giving the CF, we should rely on their expertise as well, and I just think having their input was very helpful for me personally.
so would you like that to come to the full board when the, curriculum is
I'm trying to,
given to us,
I'm trying to
or?
think through, like, how would they do that? Who would come to the board? So you're not gonna have 14 people. So I don't know.
Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. So we can, if it's legal, right, it's a process, let's see if reconvenes. The ad hoc committee, we can do that. Should go there the first day, kind of blocks, right? Make sure we understand. And I don't think that has to sit there and attend every single scene, because they got stuff to do. And I don't want to have the actual influence with them, because we're gonna come back to us anyways. And then when they're ready, maybe they're my grade level or whatever, the ad hoc committee would convene for the request, and would review what their quote to see if it's in line with
What we
what we
discussed.
recommended, right? Our thought, our intent. Once it's there or close, they might have their own objections, their own problems, issues that they're working through. That's what that I think is, if it's what the board, this is what should go past the board. Or no, that's not past. Because that's not what we discussed. And then once that's done, then I would say it comes to the process. Because it's worth it, right? And they've done a lot of work already. I don't want to have these big open meetings and everyone misinterpret what's going on, like kind of what happened, right? And same thing we did at the same time. We put out a couple of weeks ago, explain, once you figure out the process, put that up in detail. So people understand the process, that, I guess, phase 2. I work with something. Because otherwise, it's gonna come up here, we're gonna be 5 hours again. People may think, well, that's what we approved. And it's, at that point, it's not. Yeah, that's just, they thought.
And one thing to think about here, a couple options. What Dan suggested, we have the ad hoc committee meet with CF as a CF meeting and an ad hoc. Such that. Advisory, you have to give it a think. You could do that all at the same time, or you could set up that ad hoc committee. You probably need to meet for like an hour, go through suggested changes, and maybe put it in 2 chunks for CF. Coordinate conversations for them. What are the easiest topics that were things like find a new resource for this, find a new resource for this, and then what is going to take you a little more, and then you do the joint meeting with CF and I can CF. Go over, okay, here's what we think process wise. You fix these easy ones first, dig into this other set next. When you fix the easy ones, then you go through the process, get that approved, so you're not holding it all up. Because you got a few things, you just need to do resources. And what it would do is it would give focus, and ideally, you have a handful of things for our staff. It would be good to have information that is ready to use. But you have other items where there's items relating to neutralizing language. It's going to take them work. And what'll happen is if you could probably pull out the ones that you know are more tangible, that they can go get some quick wins, and then the things are gonna. Either way,
Do we put a time frame? on this? That's my question, or a goal?
We're all volunteers.
Before I go to that question, can I ask if what Dan and Chris just described, is that the need that you were discussing in terms of like, do you feel like the board members will have the information they need that way? If it's an ad hoc committee doing the work, or are you asking for something when the full recommendation comes that provides more background to you?
Resource, so questions to the experts of the group. If we have any questions on why this thing was added or deleted or whatever it is. I'm open for discussion on it. I do want to understand the technical reasons why certain terms were used or not used. So, and I think that would be helpful.
Okay, so it still might be helpful, and we don't have to make a final decision on that tonight, but it still might be helpful to have someone.
Or
That
even
the
if
board can ask
somebody,
questions.
somebody,
that's why I'm thinking, with some of the technical curve things are gonna take a little longer.
right,
But you have some easy ones, where if you separated it, you had like, if the ad hoc committee said 7th grade, day 6, what is HPV and healthy resources, STI lessons. Dig into that, we gotta do it, it's really tangible, there's resources out, find some resources. Bring a package together that's really digestible,
Right,
and while that's going through the community process, then they can be working on the next chapter.
We want to split it up so much.
Yeah.
Now, my preference would be, maybe break it up so the CF handles checks, and so they knock off the voting fruit. But I don't think we should piecemeal bring it back to the board or the community. I think that's just.
I was gonna say, that's what my first view was, and I think after
Yeah,
discussion,
but I like-
think that would be.
I like the idea of separating them into buckets or taking care of the easy ones, but they could internally do that and then they just sit and wait for the rest. That makes sense. to me.
That's gonna be their decision.
Yeah, I don't know what they.
I don't wanna
think is-
dictate to
is
them
easy.
how to-
I do echo Jennifer said, I think it would be helpful when it comes back to have an expert in the room. Because we were making a lot of changes and assumptions and I had no idea what they were thinking for 2 years. There was a lot of terms and ways they were structured. One slide was before another, and maybe they're not an expert in answering this question, but it would be helpful to have somebody if they're
Okay.
comfortable being here, whether it's or others from the community or that are on the board that are comfortable to come. I think it would be. Yeah.
When does the CFE? What are the dates?
We've scheduled our first meeting for this year to receive the feedback from the Board of Education. It'll be the first Wednesday in December. So we've asked our current membership to hold that date. And
Is
then
that once a month, Brian? Or
typically it's been about once a month.
are we looking to accelerate that at all, or?
To Dan's point,
Sorry.
yes,
I know.
their community members in our previous meeting time and cadence had been during the school day so that we could have students participate most easily. If we move it to after school, which we could, it probably is easier for our adults, it's more challenging for our students to participate. There could be alternating, we could talk about having one before, one after. Another layer to this is that we need to coordinate schedules with our health teachers, right? So while you all tasked the CAB to put together a proposal, the CAB had a subcommittee of its own to say, health teachers, help us. You all are the teaching professionals, you know the curriculum and content best. So we'll want to engage them in this process to have them help to say, hey, your lesson, name the day, name the lesson number, we need a new resource for it. It probably isn't going to be this parent or this community health professional, it's probably gonna be a combination of them with the teacher to come up with a new resource.
So my biggest concern is that we do this efficiently. Most as speedily as possible. I don't want them spinning the wheels. I think we've all said that. Yeah. A lot of different ways.
Too much time.
Effective.
That's-
We want to value their time, right? They may want to take their consideration. So, yeah, I don't know, whatever.
So why not form the ad hoc committee? The ad hoc committee attends the December 8th meeting and then from there get some done.
It's December.
I think maybe the first Wednesday.
Brian, based on the cadence that you guys were working on before, do you have an estimate of like what kind of time frame might be your reasonable ask? Just so the board has a sense of what we're looking at. And I know you can't say with.
Yeah, I'd say 4 to 6 months would be a really good pace, realistically.
Okay.
I'm saying. Saying it's cool, I'm saying it's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, well,
Well, it's in the school.
whatever we do, I think our health teachers and our families would like to clearly know what is being taught
Sure.
in spec ed. And so if that means holding off anything new until the full package is done, I think that'd be everyone's preference. It's going to be very challenging to name the grade level to say, well, we've approved these lessons, but not these, but not this resource. We're gonna unintentionally cause a mistake, we're gonna upset some people. I think our health teachers are resolved that they're teaching what they previously have been teaching for this year. And given the charge, probably for the remainder of this year. And so the hope would be that we have a clear picture for next year, and we can provide training and support to our staff to be ready for this fall. That would be the best case scenario.
Fourth grade.
Well, that's, the board doesn't have to care about that. The administration can decide what they want, but yes.
See those. When they get to it, just wanna make sure that whatever we do. It goes out to the community, right? it's not done.
Yes.
You know, I don't want anything to come back saying, you guys focus just on dark at night, we're not, well, one day was dark, but. So they have time to put it, and people like lost vacation, see it. You know, I think we did a good job of getting out them a lot, feedback, obviously. And hopefully they like what comes out next, sure, there's gonna be people on either spectrum, there'll be people that are not gonna like it, certain aspects of it, but that's why I want to.
Yeah, I think it's clear, board members and, you know, we want to support the district in moving forward with this, so I think we're all gonna be very willing to, you know, do our work when it's time and, you know, be helpful to the CF we can be so that we can push forward, and, you know, maybe it's a really snowy winter and we're bored and they just wanna work on lessons, so like, I mean, you just never know.
I think where the board can be very helpful is that we're reaching a time in the 2-year cycle that we will have some new membership. So per our bylaws, we will reach out to the community. My assumption is based off the topic and the interest from the community, there'll be more applicants, and which is terrific. We'll get more engagement from more people. We'll have some new membership on the CF. It'll be important that the board continues to point us north, because new membership may want to move us south, east, west, and the board will need to say, no, this is the direction we're heading. And that's where the board, I think, can be really supportive to the CF.
When is that, when are?
So we have yet to email out to the community for new membership. We have not yet had that first meeting of this year to finalize a roster for 25-26 to determine how many spots we have open. We have not yet met for this school year.
Is there a? That makes a question. It's all on perception. You got members, right? Is that based on how both members ask it, only if they want to talk? Like, we're not gonna be, I hate to see us leave anybody. They know all that too, unless they want to, it's not done. Moving away, I had enough.
Yeah,
What, if they don't want to go off, I'd like to keep them, because they've got all that history of background.
we've had students graduate.
Yeah, obviously.
We've had families and professionals say the last 2 years was a time commitment I can no longer give. We have people that for personal reasons aren't like, so there's a variety of reasons. There's enough folks returning that there should be the ability to have some institutional knowledge of the work that occurred to inform the next step.
Let me ask the question, if somebody wants on it, wants to stay,
Well,
should be.
there is, just to be clear, there is a desire to get on a 2-year cycle though, so that groups are coming on and going off. This is the end of that first 2-year cycle, so there is a little bit of play right now in terms of like, as a board, we need this committee to start cycling year to year. So there is a little bit of a need to perhaps have people, and as Ryan said, the number, we have no idea what the numbers are. There is a hope, I think, that like, you know, half the group is turning over, because the board needs that to be the time frame so that we always have a committee going with institutional knowledge and new growth.
The bylaws are a 2-year term with the option for 2 terms. But as Lee stated, when we reconvened the whole group, everyone started on year 0. So everyone was on the same cycle for that first 2-year term. So having some people drop out has been helpful. Otherwise, we'd have to draw straws to say, Daniel, you're on the year 1, I'm on the year 2, and that's the way it is.
So we're gonna trust like, as a board, we will trust the CF to manage that, and the board's responsibility is to approve new members. So
Do we need a motion to appoint, okay, I make a motion that the president be tasked with appointing an ad hoc committee to assist the CF review and modifications.
okay, we have a motion.
Technically, you have to be at a meeting.
So that's what I was gonna say. Do we can, it's an ad hoc, I
You
can
to do
just
it,
do
you
it.
can set it up.
That's why I said that.
So I can,
Yep.
do it before their meeting.
Okay.
All right, so, all right, any further questions on that? I guess let's do a roll call vote.
Wait, the ad hoc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's true, so that I can appoint an ad hoc committee prior to their first meeting.
Arnold. Rudy.
Aye.
Paula.
Aye.
Angus. Ryder.
Aye.
Vera.
I,
Carol.
Okay. Does that provide enough direction? Do you believe that the CM needs any further ideas from us tonight? Not to put you on the spot.
No. The only other things that I left with a little bit of. There's a lot of conversation last week, and so I just want to make sure it's clear. Is the board have a hope for the means in which the classes are taught in terms of, I heard conversation about having groups separated, male, female, or not? Or is that a choice you'd like administration to make? And if it's the directive of the board, then that will influence design. Versus if it's the option for the building.
Fourth grade.
Yeah, fourth
So-
grade is the only one.
That was the only one we
that's
discussed.
what I was
Just
honestly, after we
grade
think
five.
deep down, I mean, I had the same thought, I think Amy shared. But I had the same thought that like, there are some grades that it would be nice. We have certain schools not together.
I think right now they allow them, what do they do now, Brian?
Fifth and sixth they pick, don't they?
Right.
Fifth and sixth grade, the two teachers will separate and they allow students to select which group they'd like to participate in.
Nobody's really, very few people are opting out of that, so I don't see that there's a problem.
Okay.
In seventh grade, we currently have one health teacher who's teaching one class co-ed. And then in high school, same, while we have two teachers teaching two different sections, it is a co-ed class.
I think you just answered the question now.
Yeah.
That,
So fourth grade would be your preference to separate male.
That's what they approved.
Okay.
Yeah, there was-
Do that one video.
There was a
Just
full
the
day.
one left. That's what I'm clear.
And that's all about it.
It's not good one class. I never say they five.
yeah, and then you answer the question. Thank you.
Okay, so to be really clear, it sounds like the board has not received any feedback that the current system is not working for grades 5 through 12.
I know.
Okay, I just want to be super clear. Okay. Was there anything else?
Timeline, if we want us to try to send.
I think that would be abundantly unfair to them.
Let's see what the says, and maybe they can come back to us and give us a thought after they've had a little bit of time to digest.
They also, if you look at something, it sets a rush, and sometimes doing it right means you have to take a little bit more time. And it's hard to be patient, but we waited a while this curriculum.
I do think everyone has a desire to be moving forward quickly, including the teachers, so I guess
I don't want to throw out a date. Book them in.
I also think while there is work to be done, there's now more direction for the CF, which I think is helpful. Previously, there were conversations, how much is too much for STIs? Is this enough? Is this not enough? We've heard what the board would like, and so it gives more direction. So hopefully there's guidance and that will help expedite.
I hope that maybe they can bounce things off of them if need be to say, like, is this kind of work the board was thinking? And
That'd be a great resource. That'd be terrific.
and we have received an extensive amount of feedback on all the lessons, so I do think we have a sense of what the need is.
That's what I was gonna say.
Which we did not have before either.
Okay.
Okay,
I just, I don't want this to drag out for a year.
yeah, I don't think, I totally with you. Okay, board members, if you are interested in being on that ad hoc committee, just shoot email outside of meeting time, just to me directly. Thank you. All right, thank you. We are to our second public participation period. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
I got one question, or a couple questions. In reviewing the tapes of last week, it was brought up the curriculum program, which in retrospect was brought up many times, how we couldn't do this because of media rights and different, rights. Can we change the program without being in violation of?
Depends, we gotta find out now that it's.
So you still haven't found that out?
No, we're waiting for today,
Okay,
waiting to know what the steps were.
because this could all be for nothing. We can't change the curriculum. If this curriculum program says you guys gotta follow this, to the letter. We'll have to-
Usually they allow some flexibility.
If they're not gonna be
Are
flexible,
you,
Nobody would just blindly adopt the curriculum.
Guys, we're at public participation, we don't wanna get into a discussion on this, I apologize.
But yeah, just-
so I'm just gonna clarify, are you asking if we can make changes on like slides, for example?
Yeah, and even the curriculum, because it says you have to do all the lessons are built for you already. Okay,
Okay,
so we were just purchasing the program the way I understood it.
so Chris,
And so,
Yeah, with any curriculum, purchase the rights to use the curriculum. And then our teachers create their own research. You purchase the rights to use what they gave you, doesn't mean you had to use the data, but see it. Or with board group sex ed, they have to use it as. So if it was the curriculum slide deck that changes the terminology, the teachers can create change the terminology. We just gotta read kind of, there might be a couple nuances here and there, but in general, it's slideshows.
all right, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, moving on to board comments. And you know what, actually, I'm sorry, we didn't get a student update tonight, I'm so sorry about that.
Let's start with that.
Do you guys have an update for us? We're gonna just throw that in if anyone can do that.
So let's say there's a hockey game starting off the hockey season, so getting into the winter sports finally, even though the ball's still not over. It's at that's likely, and tap band's gonna be there, so I'm super excited to see if the
Where's that? That's it.
and then a lot of the IB classes that started working on their IAs. I supported goggles for 3 hours today, so very passionate. But yeah, we're doing our experiments, fun, quite big, a ton of data. And it's a little stressful, but it's all part of the process. And this has been really helps. And then last week, Wednesday was signing day. So they're signing all day. Friends got to come down and watch decorations, cupcakes, stuff like that. It was just a nice celebration for the commitment for sports. It was nice on Instagram too, seeing all the friends support each other. So that's very nice.
Yeah. Speaking of football still going, we beat Carlson 56-42 this past Friday. That was an amazing game. We play Groves on Saturday. This weekend it will be played in Lincoln. It's our neutral site at 1 p.m. at 7. Swim and dive. We have states this weekend. We have a bunch of kids representing us there. That's awesome. And basketball has started. Crowds are over. We have our set rosters, and our first game, I believe, will be 28th of November. And Kinston comes to, I think, that for varsity. For arts, our 3D productions are happening this weekend. Dead Lobster decisions at Knock Knock will be on Thursday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and Clue and Time Capsule Count will be on Friday at 7 p.m. and on Sunday at 2 p.m. You can see the plots, the task lists, tech lists, and correctors on Dexter Club website. And pep bands, hockey, potentially at the football game as well on Saturday. If we win, the marching band will perform at Ford Field for the state championship. We'll go on to the field. And band orchestra are prepping for the concerts.
Great. Anyone else?
I'll just reiterate the finance team. We do have, but it's all. So, we have small business owners in the state for not today. It has really changed. 35 years. Besides the budget, Yeah, very efficient. I look up those formulas for the head of every year. Our costs are. I mean, percentage. The office. Funds are going as well, we're not saying. Finance.
To achieve break even level is the prep tax.
MAS, Winter Institute is out, so you can register, they're all virtual. So you have no excuse, they're all virtual, so you could just pick from whatever. There's 3 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, options, whatever. I sign up for a couple, so. See it, you know, comfort of your own.
Yes. All right, we have no information items in our packet, but we do have a closed session tonight, so can I get a there are. Oh, okay, sorry about that. It depends which page I'm looking at. We have 2 information items. We have, MSBO Leadership Institute recognition for Cameron Luder and for Cheyenne Weber. So congratulations to both of them for achieving certifications. Speaking of our amazing business office. All right, now we have, I need a motion to go into closed session.
Where do we go for session, discuss? Yeah, Frank, Michael, Carol, we were gonna discuss that. After 3 minutes.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second, roll call please. Aye.
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 Osborne.